In a few minutes, we'll also have more of our core members joining us. So, like I was saying, the core catalyst community, what we seek to do is to equip ourselves, right? And one of the programs or arrangements that we have for that are sessions like this, webinars where we'll learn from industry experts and learn from the wealth of their experience, right? But in addition to that, we also intend to have um, other conversations that not necessarily might have to be through webinars, can be carousels, can be, you know, pre-recorded sessions, right, and all of that. But the real goal, the simple plan is that as we learn more, as we are better equipped with knowledge, right, we will be better prepared also for the world of work, for the world of work. So that's the real design of this community, And so moving on right quickly, like I said earlier, please, every one of us should be very much attentive. Ensure you have your writing materials ready. Ensure you pay due attention. There would also be the provision for every one of us to ask questions. And I'm trusting that it will truly be an insightful and a practical session for us, right? For us that have joined this call. Okay, so quickly, I would go on to read the citation of our speaker, of our very distinguished speaker this evening. And after that, we're just going straight on to the presentation. Okay, thank you. Okay. Okay, thank you. So as we're very much aware, the topic for this evening's webinar is optimizing your NYSC days, laying a strong foundation for the days ahead. And we are honored and privileged to have as our speaker for this evening, Engineer Olutosin O Ogunmola, popularly known as O3. And he is a seasoned electrical engineer with over 2 decades of experience across multinational organizations, including Peugeot Automobile, PZ Cousins, and Lafarge Africa, and his career spans project management, industrial maintenance, technical innovation, and leadership development. He's an alumnus of the Obafemi Awolowo University, Great Ife, where he studied electrical and electronics engineering, and he's a registered engineer with the Council of Registered Engineers of Nigeria, COREN. He's also a fellow of the Nigerian Society of Engineers and currently serves as the chairman of the NYSC Strategic Partnership Committee at the national level. He's also a PMP certified professional and an entrepreneur, and he founded the online repairng.com, which is Nigeria's first e-commerce platform for technical repair services. Beyond engineering, Engineer Ogunmola is deeply invested in youth development, transformational leadership, and nation building. He's mentored emerging leaders through faith-based organizations and civic platforms, and serves as an appointed member of Lagos State Road Safety Advisory Council. His conviction is that purposeful leadership, strategic impact, and nation building through faith, family, engineering, and enterprise. And today he's speaking to us on optimizing your NYSC days to teach us how to build a career by wise choices, strategic moves, and laying strong foundations with key practical lessons from his own early years. Please celebrate and welcome our distinguished speaker, Engineer Olutosin O Ogunmola, PMP, FNI, Triple E, FNSE. Can we please celebrate and appreciate him with emojis?
So
Thank you.
thank you very much. Thank you so much, Caleb, and thanks to everyone. I will seek your indulgence to uh, speak without opening the video, and I believe that will not in any way impact on the quality of our conversation. It gives me a great pleasure to be with us this evening, and to underscore the importance that I attach, to this session is why I've actually had to, proceed with it against the fact that I've not been feeling too well. So, but I felt that it's important we still have this conversation. I've been agreed to it before now. And I most sincerely also appreciate every single person who has made out time to join. When Caleb said, I mean, we would be expecting many more of your colleagues, what readily came to my mind is that it's not exactly about the number. It's purely about that one person that is just ready, to pick lessons and be able to run with them. That one person that is committed to, making a whole lot out of the NYSC days. And so many a times you'll be surprised that you may not exactly have, the big numbers, right? So, but what is important is, for as many who have joined to really be here with us, and I really look forward to it being an interactive session. Okay. Again, the days of NYC for us in Nigeria has more or less become more of a stopgap of some sorts, for a number of people. And I want to believe that, of course, it's not only in Nigeria that we have such programs as this. I understand in some other climes they are even exposed to a lot more of maybe military training. I understand maybe in Israel, maybe you have some 2 years just to ensure that, graduates of higher institutions are well equipped, for the things that are ahead of them. So, but in our case, it is more of service to our fatherland. I mean, that's the concept. And I wouldn't know how many of us who have actually bothered to even check up when did NYC start, what was the purpose, and all of this. So, I mean, it got started in the days of a former military head of state called General Yakubu Gowon. And the whole essence really was just to integrate Nigerians, as it were. It's part of the fallout of the civil war that occurred from 67 to 1967 to 1970. So, as part of the reconstruction and a whole lot of ideas aimed at nation building was why they felt that okay, when people finish from school, can we send them to other parts of the country? And indeed, it has yielded great results. Through the NYC, we've had seen people who have had to even marry, across the length and breadth of the country. We have had people, I think recently, yes, just a few days ago, I was in the northern part of the country, in Gombe State specifically, and I met someone who told me that a member of his church just passed. Said the man barely clocked 70 and then he passed. So they were going to have the burial. And now mentioned the person's name. It turned out to be a Yoruba person. So I was wondering how come, and they were to bury the person in Gombe. So the person now said, no, the person was actually first posted to serve, in Gombe State. So you can imagine. So, and then got settled there, raised all of his, children there. And then that became home, for him. So to a large extent, even though over time, because of the circumstances of the country, I mean, people are now skeptical about, going to far distant places. And we can only hope that, we get the country back to when people can easily move at any point in time. And then, like, I also want to use this opportunity of this engagement. I would want it to be more like a family discussion, like you just have that big brother there that has gone through what you are passing through, and you are just out there in front of your house, more like moonlight and tales, and then just have heart to heart discussions. And you are able to pick that, okay, so these are some of the things people could actually, utilize this period for. So, like in my own case, it was it was going for the youth service that actually moved me out of my own zone for the first time. So, I always tell people that is the first time I will actually, go over the River Niger Bridge. So, it was the first time crossing from the western part of the country to the northern part, right? So, it comes with a whole lot of interesting things, new things and adventures, and a whole lot of new realities, right? But beyond all of those, it now also serves as an opportunity to indeed lay the foundation. Maybe not laying the foundation in the entire sense of it, because as a matter of fact, before you got to this point, you had actually started laying the foundation. The fact that you had gone through school and you have pushed yourself, so to speak, up to this point shows the foundation is being laid already. But this will be more like cementing the foundation, so it serves as a period where you might not exactly be under prayer. Like sometimes when we have NYSC core members come into our companies, some of the things we'll tell them is, okay, this is the period for you to actually make all the mistakes, learn from them, because beyond that point, you will now carry the responsibility fully, right? And you cannot afford to make some mistakes, costly mistakes, as it were. So, I mean, this period serves as one that a whole year, and it's somewhat also so definite. As you are starting, you can tell, okay, most times this is when our passing out will be, and it serves as one for you to be able to actually plan and be able to say, okay, within the first 3 months, I should be able to do this and stuff. And those are some of the things that we will be speaking to this evening. So I think there is a slide that we have. I believe, Caleb, you can share from your hand, like we had said. And interestingly, I have a nephew who is also undertaking the NYSC at the moment. And few weeks ago, before he proceeded on NYSC, we were having some discussions. And so when this came from Caleb, it was somewhat just, in alignment, because I started asking some questions from him that, okay, have you learned to do this? Have you learned to do this? And it was like, wow, okay, this is interesting. These are some of the things. So I will also not be surprised, if that will apply to some of us. So one of the questions I asked was, okay, because it's possible, you never can tell. Okay, some people will have the opportunity earlier on, some will not have it. Then this period of the NYC might be the time that you would just want, or your eyes would just need to open to it that, oh, I think it's an opportunity to do this. So I think part of what I asked was if he could actually drive, and it was like, okay, it has never paid attention to it. So, okay, this could be the opportunity to put it in your plans. That, okay, as I will take on my Alawi, I must be able to, okay, maybe I will look for a driving school, and that could be done maybe within some 2 to 3 months. So I think part of what I also asked was if he knew how to swim. So, and I mean, like I said, sometimes what some people would take for granted will be somebody's new reality, and you will be dazed. And some people may not have even thought of it. Okay. And many a times, I mean, I've seen back in the day, I could remember a number of organizations, particularly the oil and gas companies, that you might have to work offshore and the likes. They will require that, okay, you are able, to swim, for example. Even there are some that might want to bring you in as sales reps, and they will require that you are able to drive. And I said, it will not be good that you get to the point that, okay, probably you have even gone through all of the tests, interview sessions, and it will now be, these small things, and they could also come under what we eventually see as life skills. So, and that is what one can exactly get to use this period to learn. So it's a period that you can make the most of, or you can just see it, like people will say that how time flies. So you will just see that before you know it, is next week is our POPO, and you'll be wondering from where to where, that how come it went that far. So, and that is how it applies. And this might not just be the first time we will be in that situation. It's the same thing that happened when we entered school, right? Before you know it, you were like jam bites, and the next thing they are calling you final year, FYB or something, and you are wondering. So the same thing, this one is now very short. But no matter how long, no matter how short, once you pay attention, and then that you will be able to make the most out of it. So, irrespective of the stage that you are in, in your service days now, if it is for you, if it's a case of, oh, I only have like 3 months left, or I am just starting off, it wouldn't matter. What would matter is just being able to sit back and say, okay, where do I start from? What more time do I have? And then how do I make the most of it? And it will always start from the place of just being very honest with oneself. Like somebody has said that the greatest thing in life is man know thyself. So you must be honest with, okay, this is where I am, this is what I know, this is what I have. Then what do I think what do I really aspire to? And then you are able to now say, okay, I would need this. How do I go about it? So it's a case of asking those questions: what, why, when, where, how do I get this? And then you go for it. So you can move to the next slide. So, like I said, I wouldn't want to shoot beyond time. I would like that, we're able to also make it interactive as questions. So I would, in the course of going through the slides, just speak, to what I consider as the key important thing. So, and of course, we must all just be excited, about the opportunity to live out the best, that we can be. So the future is really just ahead of us. And we must not just leave it to chance. You will have every opportunity to write it, to create it. So we must be fired up, and it has nothing to do. Of course, like people will say that as you lay your bed, so you lie on it. We have finished from school, maybe with different grades, different fields of study, but to a very large extent, irrespective of what you have studied, irrespective of the grades you have, left school with, from the point where you are now, you can begin to say, I want to be a lot more focused, a lot more determined on, where I end up. So to a large extent, it has nothing to do anymore with where you started from or your background. It is about the determination you are making from this point going forward. So there could be ways to say, okay, I finished with this grade, then I might need to do this top up or do something. It is being clear about what next, and then being clear about how to go about it. It is that determination not to just, be taken aback or just relax to say, oh, I've made this mistake in the past. No. So, and again, it's a period that like what is happening now, you have the benefit of having a group that is able to say, okay, guys, we can come together, learn from each other, encourage one another, inspire one another, bring on board people that can speak to us. Beyond this period, such opportunities really may not be there, because there will not be different aspirations. But at this point, the NYC is a leveler, and it is important that you are able to just take great opportunity of this. So this is about you saying, you can move to the next slide, Caleb. It's about you saying, I am at this point now, then what kind of future do I really want to, create? So it's a period for you to look at the bigger picture, to begin to think beyond just now. So you are not just concentrating on the things, on what I would call the ephemeral things, or the things that are on the surface, but you are being inspired, just like we always, I'm sure we must have had, and then we encourage people that, all those that are up there, nobody has two heads. And the truth of the matter is that there is nothing anybody has become that no other person, can become. That is the truth. So we see a whole lot that is happening around us, both in the world and then even in our country. And you see people doing, great things. So it is for you to make that determination to say, okay, where do I also want to, end up in life? What kind of impact do I want to make? What skills, should I acquire? And then what kind of foundation, and man lay. And I will get to a point, because this is not just about you, it's about the totality, of the impact that, one person can make. So as we approach this, see it again beyond just you. See it beyond, see it to the point that what I do or I don't do, I will have impact on several other people. So it will be a case of, not letting, down those, that could be impacted, by the good decisions, by the great decisions that I make from now. So you must think, it is beyond just you. It is up to the impact that you can make. So that is why this conversation really matters. We have had, we've had great people, job creators of today, right? Uh, who at some point, I think recently, was it on LinkedIn that I saw, I think it was a picture of the founder of UBA, who is also today the chairman of Seplat. It was picture of during his, what's it called now? Youth service days, and whatever he must have become today, is a function of the decisions that he made every step of the way. And you will now see the impact that he's making across different sectors. If he didn't, make, those decisions, if he was not that determined, to just, go against all odds or tread in places that people, feared to, he would not, be that impactful today. Today, I think it's one of those that have created opportunities for young entrepreneurs in Africa, through his foundation. Okay. So when you think of several other people like that are making impacts, it is because they made it, with a point of duty within them to say. And let me also speak to the story. Interestingly, I never thought I was even going to, even focus on him. But I think his story is really aligning because of that picture of his that I saw. Now, at a point, he finished from school with a tutu. And when he was to get his first job in a bank, they were looking for those who have 2-1. But he had to, he just believed in himself. It's okay, I will put in. And then he wrote in there, the cover letter, was quite captivating to say, okay, yes, I know you are looking for people like this, but I give you guarantee. And they said the chairman of the bank then was so curious that who is this person that can, be so courageous. And that was how he landed the job. So you must just be ready at this point to even be determined to be able to go all out, give it whatever it takes, not just because of you, but because of the impact that you have capacity to deliver, and you didn't want to fail on that. Yes, let's move on. So this is one of the first key things that I would like that we go home with today, is that we will begin with the end in mind. So I would just like that you just begin to point, to be able to make the right notes anyway. And then, like I said, I will want to rush over it and be able to finish to time so we can ask all of the questions. So don't forget the point I made the other time, that this is important because it goes beyond just you. You understand? It is about, the lives that would eventually, if you're not making the right decisions now, that could be impacted about your, decisions, either good or bad. And then for you to have that sound footing, it starts with this. So the first thing I would like everybody at this point, like today, this evening, at this period, is to begin with the end in mind. So, and that is a very good approach. And to a very large extent, as many people that have come across me, particularly when it's in a mentorship session, I'm not sure there is anybody that will have been close to me that I wouldn't have mentioned this to and recommend Stephen Covey's book, right? So Stephen Covey's book, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. It's one book that I will recommend that you can get, and I always encourage people to get the hard copy, and one of those habits, he said, beginning with the end in mind. So in that book, I think the analogy that starts is that imagine yourself, you enter into, a funeral session, right? And lying in that coffin, you are the one you have come to the end of your life. He said, from that point, if you want to look back, what would you want to be in, what would you would want people to say on that day without them actually, telling lies? Okay. Like somebody had said at some point that don't let us tell lies at your funeral. So just live right. So we won't be saying the things that you didn't do. So it's always good that you just sit back, cast your mind to say, okay, now I am 70 years of age, I am 50, 40, I've gotten to retirement. If I look back, what kind of life would I really love to see behind me? So what kind of professional will I have become? I will have loved to become? What reputation will I have built? What kind of lifestyle? What kind of legacy? Another person that is also inspiring us these days, and when I mention people's name, it is just to push our minds, to stretch our minds, so to speak, and not necessarily because I would say, oh yes, 100% I agree with what maybe those people have done. But again, I think recently I was seeing a video of Aliko Dangote, and he's beginning, by next year he will be 70, and he says that even all of those things that he's beginning to have, oh, you are the richest man in Africa, you have this, that he is now living for legacy. So you want to see what kind of, family legacy you will build behind. Today, now, when you speak, you will see some people that have had intergenerational businesses. There is a company called Leadway Assurance. I think it should be like in the 3rd generation. The father started it, the grandfather, now the current generation that are heading it, they are also like in their 60s, 70s, the next generation. So would you also be inspired, to lead, your generation, into that kind of intergenerational impacts? So you want to begin with the end in mind. And that is the starting point. So what kind of life? Because many times we may take it for granted, but people may not have really paid attention to things like this. That what kind of life? People just sometimes live life as it comes, and they will just join friends and say, "Oh, what are people doing?" But it is about standing out. Only yesterday we have somebody like Barack Obama opening the presidential center, and you will imagine a Barack Obama becoming the first African American president of the US at only age 46. And then you can look at his story and be so inspired. So, we must just know that, yes, we can really be up onto big things, great, creating, lives of great impacts that even by the time we have gone, those impacts will continue to reverberate through history and, through generations to come. So it starts about you saying, okay, what kind of life do I want to actually create? And if you don't start with that, it's just like somebody said that if you don't know where you are going, you will more likely not get there, because even when you get close, you don't know. So it's always very clear to be able to, always very important to be quite clear about this. There can be some duties, but the starting point is to be able to say you are clear about the kind. You can go to the end of your life, look back and say, okay, this is how I really intend. And the truth of the matter is, like somebody has said, that be careful what you wish for, because you will most likely get it. That is what really happened. You may not be so, perfect about saying, okay, well, this will happen at this age, this, but in and around, just like people will say that, you aim, for, I mean, the way it is said, maybe you aim for the sun or something, and then you land among stars. You will always get, what you have had in mind, to get. So it's now depends on your imagination, and there is great power in that. So let's move on, Caleb. So this is still in alignment with that. So when you begin, with the end in mind, then it reinforces, the power of vision. And then one thing again that I will really encourage, which for example has also worked for me, is to learn to write. Many a times when I come across some of the things I wrote down back then, sometimes I may have almost left over them in a way, but there is this part of us they call the subconscious. So when you think on things and you write things down, right, it seems that it is in your subconscious. So many a times when I now look at that, oh, so this was even part of what I wrote down, and how come it is just really coming out. It's amazing. So there is great power, in visioning, the future that will really, so it guides your decisions. It creates focus, helps, to resist distractions because you are clear about where you are going. And then when people are just coming up with all sorts, we've had situations, and there's nothing bad about it, right? But we have situations at some point in our country, particularly around, I think, COVID, that jetting out of the country became something fashionable, for the want of another word. But like, I mean, part of one thing I understood earlier on in life is that when we get to that point, also talking about purpose, it is just being, and I am not, maybe myself, this is speaking philosophically, but it is even beyond religion or any other thing. But it is that is not nothing beats being in your place of destiny. I don't know how best to explain this, and I will say it. Okay, for example, we have this. I mean, what's it called now? Apple as a fruit. I understand cannot just grow anywhere. So there is a place. The place where the right soil is there, and maybe the weather conditions. So you won't get lost in the fact that yes, people are rushing to do this. That is where being clear, then it doesn't mean that you also not be flexible to taking ideas, but you will know what will impact on the vision that you have created for yourself. That okay, this is what aligns, with the purpose I am to serve. Right. So, and these are different kind of examples of what you can aspire, to become, and then I mean, like it is commonly said that the future begins with a picture in your mind. And if you can see it clearly, you can then begin to walk towards it deliberately, right? There is another person in the country that also suits that a lot, and that is David Oyedepo. That's, I mean, that's the founder of Covenant University. So nothing beats at this early age to be able to say, this is the kind of thing that inspires me ahead of me. By the time I will be getting done on this side of eternity, I want to look back. This is where I would have loved to make, great impact. Let's move on. Okay, so and then this is another thing that this is still in alignment with all of that, because it's good to speak to what is quite foundational, and then every other thing can build on it. So this is a Japanese concept called ikigai, and it's I mean all about I mean it is called the reason for being, and it's important for every single person. If you must make the most out of life, it is as you actually find your ikigai. That is why sometimes you might think it's not common, but it is really happening. There are some people can, like I read a book also, I can also recommend that book. I think because I like recommending books for people. It it helps your perspectives. So I've spoken about the first one, Seven Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey. Then there is another one I read, Purpose Driven Life by Rick Warren. Purpose Driven Life. So that is why you see some people, he said you could become a raving success by becoming maybe a big entrepreneur, but if you don't have that balance, then you see some people committing suicide and you'll be wondering, it seems to have it all. Then this is one of the things that is that is an imbalance. So there is a book on ikigai also, right, that one can get to be able to say that, okay, so I would not just be drifting in life, it is just what comes my way, no, but I'm clear, you are able, we all know ourselves. It's just like what happens with the likes of Messi of this world, who seems to be quite talented. So he now begins to he more or less build a business around what he does naturally, you understand, and then you see people getting ahead in life. So you are able to find, a common ground to say, okay, this is what I am good at. This is what I can be rewarded for. This is what the world needs. This is what I love doing. And then you find, and one thing about issue of purpose also, and this is also very instructive for me. Somebody said something that if you expect a fish to fly, it will look stupid all its life. As in, you bring a fish and you are saying, can't you fly like this bird? That fish will look so stupid, all its life. But he said, throw that fish inside water and then you see it, displaying all of its own skills. So people get the best out of themselves when everything is in alignment, with the areas of their strength. That's why you even see some people that will finish with first class today. It's not because they have that hard work, which is also very important, but some things that just come naturally to them. And I believe I think that was a course we did while I was back in school in engineering. I did electrical engineering, and I think that course should be maybe 400 level 5. I can't even recollect, but that course taught us that everything is formed for the purpose it is to serve. So it was telling us that, okay, you see the shape of a camera. Why a camera will have, the way it is structured, you have a way you can hold it and click, because that is the purpose it is to serve. That's why a spoon is made in a way that it has an handle, then it has a place where it can lift things because it's meant to lift. So we all are formed. So when you see those things that I say, and I like this naturally, you can't even explain it. These are some of the things, these are the, approaches to understanding who am I, what makes me up as it were. It also comes from the experiences you have gone through. I always tell people, when I served in Kaduna, I said, why was I not sent to Yobe to serve? If I had been sent to Yobe, I would have met different set of people. The experience will have been different. It could have altered the course of my life, for example, right? And it happens all the time. So when you put all of those together, you begin to have an idea, okay, this is what, the direction my life should probably go. And then you can begin to work, and then you derive strength. And it touches, so it is not just that you are doing something just because you like it, but it is something also that you can be paid for. So it answers all of those questions. And it's an exercise that one can sit back out of retrospection, thinking deeply, and you begin to bring out. So this is something during your service year that, you must also be able to sit back and answer. What is the reason for my being? What is my ikigai? What should be the driving force? Something that I drive at. Okay, let's move on. Can see that we are not really having much of time. So just like it is written here, it said the sweet spot, when these four areas overlap, you begin to discover purpose. There is an image that speaks to all of those. There is an image of ikigai that when you search about ikigai online, you will see each meeting point. You will say, okay, between what I love to do and what I am good at, there is a meeting point there. It will tell you what that speaks to. Then between what I can be paid for and what I am good at, that is a meeting point. So it is just like you have a set. So there is now one that brings the four. So if you are able to find that one, then that will be your area of strength, and building your life around that, you will fly, and you will just become a genius of some sort. This is very important. You might say, "Oh, it's easier said than done," but when one pays attention to it, you will always get it out, and then you live life with a sense of fulfillment. That yes, I am doing something, it is impactful, it is paying my bills, not just paying my bills, I'm creating wealth through it, I'm touching lives through it, I am creating new things through it. I just sometimes, like I said, that when I'm mentioning people's name, I am not validating them in total. When I mention people's name, it is not a validation of all their personalities or all they do. But sometimes I look like somebody like Elon Musk, and I wonder that, how will he be feeling? You understand now, creating solutions, in areas that you were unimaginable before, and, creating wealth along the way. And many more people can actually lead life, through this. Let's move forward. So we've spoken about, ensuring that it's beyond you. So these conversations we are having is not just about you, it's about the impact that you have capacity, to. So why purpose would matter during your NYC? It will now also determine the opportunities you will choose. It will determine the kind of skills you want to build, right? It will determine the kind of events you want to attend, the kind of networks you want to build. So you are having clarity about it is not just attending everything, it's attending the ones that align. It is just like when sometimes people also, you won't be surprised. It is not just to be motivated about economic reasons to say, okay, I want to jump at a job, for example. But you will hear people saying, is the value of this company aligning with my value? It's a place where I work and I will have peace of mind while contributing, making my own contributions, to the advancement of the cause for which the business is established. So this is why, your purpose. So it just determines, and of course, it gets you stay motivated even when things seem not to be going in your direction. You know that, no, I am up for something great, and yes, there can be periods of disappointments, there can be some things that will come up, but nothing is changing on that end. And again, I will want to still end up with something, and it will not be out of place to also mention it now. And that is not even part of the what's it called the presentation, but it is about the God factor. So if somebody does not believe in God, I would say, I mean, that is without any, I mean, with due respect to whatever it is that we believe in faith. But there are some examples. So there is the example of a young man called Joseph that has inspired me all through life. That even though he had that great dream, that was shown to him, this is where, but things were going the other way around. That instead of being that son that the father really loves, he became a what's it called, a slave, a servant. At some point, I said that was not enough. He went on to still become, a prisoner. But all through those periods, he still remained upbeat, and eventually those dreams. So that is why. So when you are clear about your purpose, you are clear about your key guy, then you will stay motivated. You will know that whatever comes is just a temporary, disappointment, that nothing can stop you from creating the kind of life that you have envisioned for yourself. So, like I said, without purpose, opportunities will look random, but with purpose, opportunities become stepping stones. So you are, how best do I put it now? You are like, it gets you intentional. So when you are attending, a webinar, for example, where others are just saying, let me just, that the things you want to get out of it, be it the network, be it the lessons, they are so crucial, probably to the next step. You are able to say, okay, I am going for this because there I am having understanding, of how to get maybe what's the kind of a fully funded scholarship in this area or in this particular field that you have found to be quite relevant to your purpose. Yes, next slide. So I really do hope that it's not lost on us the key thing. So, and then what will also be important is planning. So, and like I said the other time, you must just learn to be able to write. Many a times when you write, you might be thinking it's not a waste of time. It is for you because many a times some things could form in your mind if you don't write them down. Like somebody says that the faintest pen is sharper than the brightest mind. You will be surprised that some things are formed in your mind some 3 months ago. When you want to try and recollect them, they won't be so perfect. But the moment it is coming, you are writing down. And then it's good that one is able to plan along, three segments: the short term, the medium term, the long term. It is very important. You must be able to write down within the next 1 to 2 years, this is what, and then you write all of this. When you are doing planning, what I try to tell people is one other book I came across, I cannot readily recollect the author anymore. That book says the total man. So it is not just for you to concentrate on, okay, I mean, this is my career plan, or this is my marital plan, or this is my financial plan. You need to make it all encompassing. Your desire is to grow to become a total person, a total man, a total woman, that will inspire people all across the different segments of life. That, okay, this person has a great career, is building a great home that everybody can say, yes, a godly home, because the greatest unit of the society is the home. I tell people in our nations today, we will not run into the challenges we have run into if every home has done its job. So you are growing to ensure that you can grow as a total person, and your personal roadmap. You understand? And like people say, your personal development plan must have all these segments, and you'll be able to say over the next 1 to 2 years, over three, and they are not just wishful thinkings. As you are writing them, you are writing the commitment from you. If I want this is what I must learn. This is what I must acquire. This is what I must do. So it comes as a total plan, and you have it short term, medium term, and long term. Let's move, Caleb, because of time. I really would like that we're able to interact and ask questions. So, for the short-term planning, it's okay, of course, being able to complete your NYSC, and that is not far-fetched. Some people don't complete it. I'm telling you, some people are still unable to pick their NYSC certificates because there was one infraction or the other, and it continues to be an issue. Along the line, they begin to now look for jobs that will not require, and then NYSC certificate, or when some job opportunity or some, opportunities come and they will require. I'm sure you know that a federal minister has had to resign or has had to be sacked, all because of the NYSC certificate. So you want to focus on completing it, then build employable skills. So at this period, you want to look for that sector that you know that this is the area I can work. You want to know what kind of skills, because school certificate will not just be enough, right? Then you want to improve communication abilities, right? Because it is not enough, what you know will not be enough, but if you are unable to really market it, so it's not a case of a good product will sell itself. You must be able to communicate effectively, and then gain practical experience. And I will still speak to that, one of the ways, maybe I can speak to it now so I can just move over that point because of our time again. Volunteering is one area you will gain practical experience. So here you had today, for example, for whatever it is worth, in your PPA, you have been posted to a school. It is your duty not to limit yourself to that, to now say, okay, if I'm a civil engineer or I'm a QS, I want to find out where they are having projects that I can approach them to volunteer so I can learn practical steps. The excuse will not be, oh, I was not posted to somewhere I can learn this. Then you will not be doing yourself, you will not be doing good justice to yourself. And like we said, this is beyond you. It is about the impact you are capable of making. Then you obtain relevant certifications. These days now, thank God for the Udemy, the Coursera of this world, and a host of others. Thank God for your own generation. There are some things that may have been quite hard, so to speak, and now probably easily gotten. Yeah, maybe not so easily, but at least you can easily access them, right? So then, in terms of finances, also, you save and invest modestly, build a professional. So this will form, your short term. And don't underplay or don't underestimate the part of finances. I've always seen people that, shortly after NYSC, you are still now having to ask people. And even if you have not been able to build any business in the course of your NYSC, you have been collecting something, you should have been able to, in a way, understand the percentage that, okay, minimum of 30% of what I earn, I should be able to put it. It's not going to be easy, but you put it somewhere so that you have some buffer. 3 to 6 months after NYC, you're still able to sustain yourself until you really get something doing. And again, this approach we are talking about is such that even from youth service, you will have started creating something. So the part of the finance and it is all about first saving and then using that to invest, wisely. That's another area in the course of the different sessions you'll be having. I will encourage that finance should be one that you pay attention to. You might want to look for somebody, in the finance space, that will be able to speak to you and you can understand his language, starting from that small place. But you don't underestimate it. So this will be the short-term plans. Let's move on. Short beyond time. So I'm sure you can always share these slides with everybody. I really would not want to compromise the part where we can ask practical questions and then we seek. So this is speaking to the 3 to 5 years, plan. So and we can say moving from being a learner to becoming a recognized professional. So within 3 to 5 years, you should be talking about, for example, guys in our engineering space. I always tell them, and that's one of the benefits that we got. For you to register as an engineer is 3 to 4 years post graduation. So that should be part of your focus between 3 to 5 years. So in your 5 years post NYC, that should be part of what should have dusted. The same thing should apply in all of the other disciplines. Look out for. I have a niece also, a QS, and I told her, you must be clear about the steps. Sometimes in some professions, unlike what will happens with the law graduates, medical, graduates, they are clear. After housemanship, I become this or I go to law school. But for your fields that may not be so clear, be involved, find out about the association, get to know every step after so years. What do I qualify to be and what do I need to do it? You go all out for it. 3 to 5 years, that should be, and then that will enhance your place in your career. So then the part of starting a business venture also should be part, must be able to think of creating value. Yes, people might say, oh, we are not all going to create something, but even if you are not creating something afresh, you are going to become like an intrapreneur where you are working, you are understanding the basics, from the basic fundamentals, of sustaining a venture. Because even if you are not creating one, you are part of one. And that is a way it is being sustained, that is actually being able to pay people working in it. Let's move on, Caleb. So, and then this is speaking about, what's it gonna 10 plus years. And the one that really, like I said, we can search more about some of these things, but national contribution is one key thing. So you will see some of those people I had mentioned before. It is the extent to which they are able to impact our nation, that really excites. It's about building livable societies. And then you must, that must be legacy for all of us, that in what ways will I contribute to making the society a better place than I have met it. Let's move on. So then, like I said the other time, so we must learn life skills. Very important. These are the things that will get us ahead. So these are topics that you can sit, just pick with them, search about them. You can use any of the tools, what's it called now, the chat GPTs of this world, to learn about each of these and then pick up the practical skills. Then they are soft skills, but they are always the differentiating factors. And so you see people that come into a workplace, they have the same degree, but what's it called now? Someone has a lot more of emotional intelligence. He understands, probably when to speak with the manager, it's able to read the room, And then so this soft skills, that I also term as life skills. And like I said the other time, there are also some that are hard, that may not be soft skills, which I mentioned the other time, like, learning how to drive. Don't take it as, okay, no, it is just for big girls people there, or learning how to swim. So you look out for these life skills, things that will ensure that, beyond just the certificates, these are things that will differentiate, and they will always open, doors. Like I said, degrees open doors, but skills create opportunities. And just like somebody has said, that one thing that makes you poor is passing over opportunities repeatedly. So it is those opportunities that you want to unlock, and it is important that you are able to understand the life skills and just go, for them. Negotiation, that is what happens even when you say you are going for interview. When you think you are going for job interview, you're actually going for a negotiation why you should be hired. And then there are skills around that, being able to speak to your strength, and what you are able to deliver and what you are bringing, to the table. The next slide, please. Okay, so still speaking about, professional skills, human skills, but they said the key rule here is that you don't stop learning. And this is not just for your NYSC. Yes, of course, when you lay the foundation now, you will continue to build on it. But we are talking about what, so in all of these nights, your ability to be able to say, okay, I have some 10 months. Can I pick a skill per month? That can be an approach, depending on what it will also require from you. You may want to learn data analysis, and then you have to pay for it. Then you look at your budget. But the ability to be able to say, okay, all of this in connection first with, what my ikigai, in connection with the vision of the future that, that I am, fashioning for myself, in connection with the end that I'm having in mind. So it must still all aligned. So like I said earlier, it is not just because everybody is running in this direction. There are things that will be useful for everybody, right? So you are not doing it because everybody is doing it, but you are concentrating on how it help you realize, the purpose that you have ahead of you. Next slide, please. Okay, so, and I think I mentioned it, in passing, which is about volunteering. This is something that is so powerful that people, overlook, right? So we are in the days where everybody wants to just get immediate gratification. If I do this for you, what am I getting? But part of what has really helped people, like, so many careers have been launched through unpaid opportunities that created valuable relationships and experience. So during your youth service, volunteering is something that you must be ready to do. You must, depending on where you work, you must be able to walk around the alawi that you collect, so you can do more of this. Then you do this, of course, along the areas of your interest, along the areas of, the skills you require. So just like I said the other time, you are a QS, but you are posted to a school. Then you look for, okay, it may not be so easy during the week because I still have to go to work, or if it's on the days of my what do you do now? I think there is a day in the week that you go for clearance. I've forgotten what it is called. You can quickly look for, immediately I leave the NYC place, I go to this place, to go and volunteer. On Saturdays, I do this to volunteer, so it creates, visibility, you network with people, it, gives you confidence that, okay, I'm able to do this. And then, of course, leadership. Like it is said that everything rises and falls on leadership. So it's it gives you leadership exposure. And leadership is not about position. It begins with leading yourself. So these are some of the things that you find in volunteering. That is a great power in volunteering, and it is one key thing that, so beyond understanding purpose, beyond learning life skills, volunteering is another critical thing that I would like that, we go away with. You begin to look at, okay, where can I volunteer, without being paid? The values that will come from it will indeed go beyond whatever you think you want to get in the evening. Yes, next slide. Apologies that I've had to shoot beyond time. Okay, so this is speaking to the different areas we can volunteer, right? And it's speaking to what volunteering builds in us, in addition to the things that we have spoken about. So, speaking about environmental initiatives, we are in the world where issues of climate change, is a big deal now. And I've seen people volunteer around this, and before you know it, an opportunity will come from the United Nations related agencies, and voila, they are picked that, okay, this person has worked with us on this. Yes, next slide. Okay, so then this is talking about networking. Like somebody has said that your network is your net worth, and this cannot be overemphasized. So, and many a times it also comes by way of there is this how this also connects with volunteering, and we have seen people make mistakes most times too. That when they get to meet people, most times young people are just out about what they can get, but I will shock you that when you move around, networking, always offer value. Always look out for something that, super top person will, benefit from you. It opens up doors more than when people just say that, oh, okay, it's just hanging around because of what he can get. Let there be a mindset shift to what I can always offer. And many a times when people, they will be dazed so that, okay, you are not doing this. You have also built yourself and you are looking for those small areas to say, okay, they are doing this project and I can offer this. Okay, let me be part of it. It connects people a lot more than just saying, oh, I am connecting with this person because he has this opportunity that I can grab. I hope this is also clear. But if there are questions around this, we can speak more to it. Next slide, please. So, like we said earlier on, it is important that you create a personal development plan, right? So, starting from tonight, if you have not done this, I'm sure some of the things we have spoken about are things that, okay, some people may have been doing, and I would say kudos to them. But for anybody who probably has not even given attention or paid the thought to any of this, you can begin tonight. And then you're able to define your life vision, develop the short term, what's it called now? Discover your purpose, develop short term, medium term, long term, goals, learn at least one marketable skill, then build meaningful relationships, networking, volunteer consistently, create a financial plan. Like I said, I will encourage through your platform that you still bring in somebody that will speak on finance. It's a critical part. We must be able to learn, somebody, if you are earning 70,000 naira and you cannot, save, even when you begin to earn 7 million naira, you will be dazed that you might still not be able to save, because it's about the culture. It's about, having it in you to do. So it's not exactly about the size of what you take. So it is about, consciously and intentionally creating, that, skill within you to say, okay, no matter how small, I put this aside, then I learn areas to put it that I will also not get my fingers burnt. And then mentorship. It's also important that you look at somebody who someone who you seek to pursue and who is really doing great in that path. For you to really aspire, you can always, get to look up to such people and seek out mentorship. Many a time you might be surprised. Right? It could might not come. It might be out of place for you to ask out directly. If there's some people that you really have access to, sir or ma'am, I would like that you mentored me. And again, mentorship also cuts across. Like I've told people, you can have mentors, a career, I mean, professional mentor. You could have a financial mentor. It doesn't mean that one person should be all of it for you. I hope that is also clear. So these are fundamental things that you will just approach, in the course of your NYSC. So please, next slide. Next slide, please. Am I still audible, Caleb?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We can hear you, sir.
Sorry, I know I'm having issue with the network here, but next slide, please. I hope what I said around mentorship was also clear, right? That you don't necessarily have to have only one mentor. You don't need a one-size-fits-all mentor. So you could have a financial mentor on one hand and have a professional mentor on one hand, and have, spiritual mentor, so, but it's important for you to not to reinvent the wheel, like I will always say. It's always good you find somebody who has walked the path that you have now discovered. This is the direction I would like to go, in a particular segment professionally, or the kind of, what's it called, financial or wealth, what scope that you want to create. To say, okay, I can learn a lot from this, and you can always approach people to say, I would like to be mentored, right? So the challenge here to every core member is 1 year from today. Like we said at the other time, begin with the end in mind. So imagine starting at the end of your NYC year. What will you say? Will your case be, I merely served, I've just done, I have the pally as expected of me, or I build the foundation for my future? So the difference will be determined by the choices you begin to make right from this moment. Yes. So the last slide, like I said at the starting point, is a strategic season of your life, that is like, you are being paid to even plan ahead. So you need to begin with the end in mind, live with purpose, plan deliberately your short term, medium term, long term, commit yourself to continuous learning, volunteer generously. And I can tell you that the future is waiting, ahead of you, but it will be built by what you do every day during this season. So I urge that we make the most, out of this season. Like we said earlier on, in the words of Peter Drucker, the best way to predict the future is to create it. So thank you for your time. I apologize that I had to overshoot time, but I really will be happy that we can have questions to ask, and then don't be disturbed. You could be at a point that you are challenged to say, "Ah, can I really make out of this?" Everybody has capacity to become great. So it's about sitting back and analyzing all of those things. Like I said, write out the thoughts, write out where you want to get to, seek out the things you need to do. And then before you know it, in years to come, you look back and you can tap yourself on the back to say, yes, I did it. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you. Can we please once again appreciate our speaker with reactions in the chat box? I'm very, very sure that this has been a great session for each and every one of us who have listened so far. And so, thank you so much, sir. Thank you, sir. I must say we are truly honored and grateful that you chose to join us this evening and also share with us. Thank you for the lessons. Thank you, Samuel. Yes, let's keep our reactions coming in. Thank you. So we're going to have the opportunity to ask questions. So if you have a question, just use the raise hand feature, right? And then we'll call on you. That's if you're in an environment where you can speak. Yes, just raise up your hand and then I'll call on you. You ask your question. Please, because of our time, make your question as brief and as practical as possible. Make it as brief and as practical as possible. Okay, sir. We already have a question from Clement Benjamin, right? Who is also serving as the head of the media unit. Thank you, Clement, for that. So his accents are two questions actually. One, how can a young economics graduate distinguish himself or herself in a highly competitive labor market where many graduates possess similar qualifications? And then the second question is, you emphasized beginning with the end in mind. For someone who is still uncertain about their long term career direction, what practical steps would you recommend to gain clarity? Yes. So, first of all, the first question is how to distinguish himself amidst the
Asa,
competitive market. And
market.
yes, and then many persons have the same qualifications. And then the
Mm.
second one, how to gain clarity, right? That's been uncertain about a long-term career direction. Thank you, sir.
All right. So thank you. And I think the two questions are somewhat covered by some of the things we have shared. So first, for an economics graduate, like it is said that the most basic need of man is economic, right? So which means we will not run out of the needs for economists, in the society. But be it for an economics graduate or any other graduate, the same thing will apply sincerely to any other field of study. So the question will be, okay, look at the number of people studying electrical engineering, for example, or the number of people studying accounting. So, but one of the ways for you as an economics graduate to distinguish is to actually sit back and look at the area that you might want to derive expertise in. So this is also one thing that probably I didn't touch in the presentation. It is about there are two ways to approach impact in the marketplace. Two ways, and I will quickly speak to them. One is by, for example, being a subject matter expert, and then so you are a specialist. The two ways are being a specialist and be a generalist. And I've always told people that, yeah, I mean, there is nothing bad with any of them. It would depend on, the opportunities you want to approach. So being a specialist is that, is simple, I mean, in simple terms, is knowing everything about something. So that may be an area that you want to look out for. Then being a generalist is like knowing something about everything. Okay. So, and they also have their place. But many a times at the start of one's career, people will always like people that have, some depth, in particular areas. So one of the things you can also do is to now look out, for example, you know, if you don't probably have the opportunity to be posted in a place where you can, apply your knowledge as an economic graduate, it is for you to now look at, and this is what I always encourage people to do. Look out for the organizations that that would, require the services you could offer, and they are all over the country. So you look out for them. You can look out for the areas where they work. There are also some other companies around, maybe economic statistics. Just look out for the different organizations that you can say, okay, these are the areas where I believe I can offer something from what I've learned from school. Then in looking out for them, then you now look at their areas of strength, different organizations. I think this man that is coming to my mind readily now is it one Rewani? I've forgotten his first name, but I know he's one of the frontline economists, in the country. So you want to look out for such organizations, and then look out for their areas of strength along the lines of what you have learned in school, and then you can focus. So one key thing that, even though all of you have come out of school, all of you possibly or more or less know the same thing, it is for you now to be able to now say, okay, I want to pick areas where I can have in-depth knowledge, maybe where I can even go for paid, seminars, to have. So once you have those areas, so it is about concentrating on areas you could have depth, and then those things now will enrich your CV. So by the time you are putting it forward, you are not just writing your BSc economics, but they are seeing that, okay, within the framework of the body of knowledge of economics, you have now been able to identify areas that are also relevant, to the economics of nations now. So that will always be an edge for people to say, okay, this is a young man just coming out from school, but he has been able to identify critical areas, beyond just, the degree certificate, and he has probably attended seminars, on this, or you have found a place. One of the things that also work well, particularly for such fields, is you are able to find probably maybe a journal, or an online medium where you can also now write your contributions. So you could have had some articles that you have written, to some medium, and then you're able to put it in your CV that, okay, I wrote this article for this medium. Those are some of the things that can differentiate. It will just show intention that this person is just beyond, having gone to school to obtain certificates. So I wouldn't know if that is helpful, right? But then the other one that is okay, if you are not having clarity about career path. So like I said, it comes down again, to what's it called now? Part of the things we've spoken about. The starting point is really to look out for the things that you want to go for. So the key guy will come into place. You are trying to understand, what do I really like, that I can be paid for, and I can make. So once you find that area, then you begin to look at, okay, then how do I relate this with what I have studied, the knowledge base that I already have. And then that can begin to guide you towards what you can build a career. And more often than not, you will always see people who have gone ahead that were in your shoes. And then you can use theirs also to say, okay, this person, I've gone ahead in this, and okay, we have similar things, my current realities look like. So, and that is why also the part of networking also comes into play. As we go out attending things that are relevant, you always find that person whose story aligns with, what you also are possibly having now. And then you can always have options. Okay, this person went through this part, this person went through this part. There are some people that will go through the part of, let's say, for example, what's it called now? Certification. So many a times, once we are able to sit back to determine all of those, some of those things now will now determine the direction that our career can go. So it is about just asking, the right questions around our strength, around our knowledge base, around the experiences we have had, around people of similar, and then you are able to make connections, and that will guide to say, okay, this can be the path. And more often than not, you will not have to be limited to one. You always have an option of 2 to 3, and then you now look at, okay, let me begin to work on the things I need to do on this. Let me begin to do, and then before you know it, maybe where the first opportunity will come will now be where you will now begin to thrive in, and then from there you begin to fly. So I wouldn't know if that answer, those questions.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. He, with his reaction and in the comments, he said, "Thank you so much." Okay, we also have a question from Rachel. Rachel is asking, how can she combine and balance her passion to impact and volunteer, but also build her career alongside? Okay, I think how there's also something about alongside my NYSC mandate, but I think the question is just how to combine and balance both.
Yes, just like somebody has said, that will also come by way of another skill that will be a life skill. Maybe we didn't mention it, and that is called time management, right? The truth of the matter is that we have all the time to do everything that we may desire to do. It will just require us, okay, to really stretch ourselves, and there will always be a period to do this. Like I always tell people sometimes to, particularly periods like the NYSC, and maybe before you get to settle down. For some people, it could be 5 years, it could be 10 years, but there are some things you'll be able to do at those periods that you will no longer be able to do. For example, maybe when you begin to work, there are some things, I could remember when, one very funny thing, when we were in school, we had a lecturer. She was a young lecturer, God rest her soul, I think she passed. sometimes, even a long time anyway. She was, teaching us at a point, and she would fix a lecture at 7 a.m., you know. And I will keep saying, what's wrong with this woman, that will be getting up so early, right? And, even at that point, some people could even say, okay, no, I'm not attending this lecture. We could do that as students. But you see some people today now, they will tell you they are waking up 4:30 so they can meet up with work. And now they have no option, So there are things that, this period is when you can actually maximize, to make the most of it. So it is being able to manage your time, all right? So you can commit your time to the things that matter. So the things that help you, your volunteering, your passion to impact, so maybe you want to learn, you might want to read, you might want to be part of some project, then building your career, of course, you want to commit, you want to understand the kind of certification. So it all comes to, so two key things that will help in this is planning and then time management. So by the time you get to that point, you will know that you don't have time for those things that will not contribute, to the kind of person you are becoming. Okay. So I think those are the two key things I want to, the part that you said, maybe to also invent, maybe that should be invest, I want to believe. So it is just first planning, sitting back. You have been able to identify, I have, I want to impact. I need to understand the areas I can impact from. I want to volunteer. What are those areas I can volunteer? Then I want to build my career. How do I exactly have to do that? Then I want to also invest. How much money am I getting? How can I increase that? Maybe through venture, maybe through investment. So you first plan, then you now also build with knowledge. So once you first map out all of those areas, the next thing is to seek out knowledge in those areas. Seek area, people that can support you to get a lot more of clarity, and you can really structure and be able to move along a defined path. And then you now commit yourself with discipline, with time management, to ensure that you are doing the right thing at the right time to get the right results that will yield, the kind of life that you so desire. I hope that is clear enough.
Yeah, yes, sir, it's clear to me. Rachel, I hope your question has been answered, right? The emphasis is on time management and also planning and even as touching your finances. Thank you, sir. And thank you. Oh, wow. More questions are still coming in. Sir, can we still take, I'm seeing a question from Brice and one from Noah.
Okay, let's do them.
Okay,
So
okay.
I'm trying to also read from here. Yeah.
Okay,
So you can
okay.
still read them
So
out. You can read them out. Yes.
okay, sir. So we'll just take these last two questions. Thank you. To honor your time also. So for Breeze asks, sir, you mentioned that we volunteer well during our service here. Please, how can one go about volunteering for someone who hasn't done it before, finding the right platform to join? And are there things we must fulfill before we can volunteer? And then okay, let me just take the next question. Noah's question, he said he's a graduate of philosophy with focus on medical ethics, that's healthcare HR, but he also envisions to study law. So he's seeking your recommendation if he should go for a master's degree in professional ethics before going into law, or he should go for a law degree, which I believe will be at the bachelor's level before going for his master's.
Okay. So maybe just to quickly, so like the first one about volunteering. Yes, I might not be able to speak to, but I mean, it's not out of place. I can, search out for some and then share with Caleb, who can also pass them on. But you can even start, from your professional. For me, for engineering graduates now, one of the places I ask them to start volunteering from is from their, the association, the Nigerian Society of Engineers. So we have the branches all over. So you join them. They always need people to serve on committees, and a whole lot of them that have done this, have, picked up from there. I've seen people, job opportunities coming because people will see how dedicated the person is and say, no, this is somebody, that is trainable if he has this kind of energy and this kind of attitude. So you can start around your professional association. Then there are some that are committed to social, things, maybe in and around, what's it called now? Maybe healthcare. You see some organizations that will volunteer to speak to people on health issues. So if it aligns, you can always, volunteer. So there are several opportunities for volunteering, just like it is in that presentation. I think there is a page on that. So maybe you can go, once they share that slide, the presentation with you, you go back to that slide and pick, I think, about 8 different areas, and then you can begin to search that. Okay, you can just do a quick search in Nigeria, in this area, which organizations work here. But again, before you also are part of any organization to volunteer, we also want you to, search out the organization. You don't just jump at any organization. Many a times people do the right things for the wrong reasons. So you see people getting involved in a whole lot that you will not want to be part of. So when you want to volunteer anywhere, you want to find out the people behind it, what's their background, where are they getting funding from. So before you know it, now you will not go and be landed up with people that are doing things that you will not be proud of yourself. So search out about them, ask questions also. So by the time you are joining any organization for any volunteering job, you are clear about what you are getting involved with. And then you know that you are doing the right thing for the right reasons, in the right way to get the right results. Then for the person who wants to pursue, masters in medical ethics, healthcare, HR, and then she wants to study law. So, those are things that can actually align along the line. One thing I see about lawyers is that it's easy to now get involved in a number of other things, and your background in law, we always push. If it's something that, okay, applying for both of them, will not cost a fortune. Yeah, I might want to say that, okay, maybe you just give it a try and see which one comes out first. So you will not you will not be wasting time on one, while you could probably do the other one first and faster, and then you are done with it. So you might want to say, okay, let me apply here, let me apply. So whichever one comes first, and that that you can also, because I'm thinking now, for example, if it's a law study, that may be a lot more time consuming. So if you would still also want to find maybe some financial capacity, to run it, probably something like that, masters could come first, so you can still be working, and then maybe after a while, once you have attained a level of financial stability, you can ask, okay, I know back in the day they were running law programs in some schools as a weekend program, but I don't think that obtains anymore. So just find a middle ground, the one that works well, that doesn't also put you under financial pressure. But one should not stop the other. So whichever one you do first, when you complete it, after a period of stability, you can go. It's always good to just go for one's dreams, and then later in life, you can look back and appreciate yourself that, yes, I'm able to combine all of this, and it enhances your capacity, to also make the right impacts, right? So then, lastly, say, how can you maximize time learning a skill during the NYSC program when the PPA is demanded? So it will really depend on you, like one thing that distinguishes people in life, and again, this is also another life skill that we need to learn, is being able to do beyond what you are asked to do. And I will explain that. Many a times, if all you just commit your energy to is what you are asked to do, you have to be at your PPA between 8 and 5, right? And you do that. After that 5, the time that nobody is demanding anything from you, it is what you commit to those times, most times, that actually distinguishes you in life. So no matter how demanding your PPA is, so long as you realize the need to learn some of these other skills, you just need to work it out. If it is your weekend that it will take, if it is your evening period that it will take, you need to commit time to things that beyond what somebody is demanding from you, what you are demanding of yourself. 2 hours, 1 hour daily, committing to things like that, will always pay off. So it's important that you just find a way, because if at the end of the NYSC, where your PPA was demanding and they now end up not retaining you, for example, so which means you will now need to pick up yourself. So now see if for that 1 year you have now not committed, energy into anything else, that can be a springboard for you, then you will be back in square one. So it is just the determination, to know that this is important. So in addition to no matter how demanding my PPA is, I must, commit to doing this, to give myself the right kind of leverage. So I hope that all of those answer the questions. Thank you very much. And thanks for your kind words to everyone that has sent in, commendation. Thank you too for your time.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Once again, we are grateful. Thank you for the time. Yes, please, let's keep the appreciations coming in. Thank you, sir. And we'll definitely share the slides on that with everyone who, of course, both those who are present and also those who also had registered but didn't make it in time. And there would also be, I would also send the link to the LinkedIn profile of our speaker, so we can get the opportunity to also follow and keep learning from him. Just to give a little story, what had happened was I volunteered with the Nigeria Society of Engineers Ikeja branch, and then for a couple of events, but most notably the what we call our NIBAMS graduation. So he had spoken there, and I must say thank you so much. It's such an honor you honoring our invitation, sir, and also sharing with us. And we will definitely put to practice these lessons, the part of planning. I also took note of the book recommendations. He recommended a few books. I would also send a list for every one of us. And I trust that as we keep learning and growing, we would truly soar and excel in life. I think the other time he spoke on, yes, that is the wings belongs to you, right? And the sky is free. Nobody owns the sky, so we should also. And I'm trusting that would be our experience.
Yes, that you don't ask permission to fly.
Yes, sir.
Because
yes,
the
sir.
wings are yours, and the sky belongs to no one. So why ask for permission?
Yes, sir.
Like they will say in my language, the sky is big enough for everybody to fly. So don't fidget. Don't let anybody make you feel small. You are more than enough. You understand? So don't ask permission to fly. Create your dreams, create your vision, go for them with unapologetically. You understand? Of course, there is the place of emotional intelligence. There must be a place you revere people. You can have mentors, but the big, onus is on you. To go for the kind of life that you so desire. You understand? Just operate at the highest level. And we have people that can inspire us. Some of the things that Elon Musk is doing today, he was even, derided at the start. Somebody was thinking about electric vehicle, or you are thinking about, reusing whatever you used to launch into space, So just create your dreams. It doesn't matter where you come from, your background doesn't matter. It's about the kind of future you want to create. So don't ask permission to fly. The wings are yours. It doesn't belong to anybody. And the sky also is nobody's, nobody has monopoly to the sky. So flying is at your beck and call. Yes.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. So I trust that also is an inspiration and a motivation for someone here. Thank you. So with that, we'll be bringing the call to a close, and would of course pick up the conversation on the group chats. Once again, thank you, sir. Thank you. I'm grateful. I can't say it enough, but I mean it very sincerely. And thank you, everyone.
The player is also mine. Really happy to be here. And I appreciate everybody who has time. Time is life. So
yes,
for
sir.
everyone who has made that time to be here, I honor you, value you, and trust that you pick and make the most of the lessons that we have shared. Thank you so much.
Thank you. So do enjoy your weekend. Good night, everyone.